Guys, the holidays just passed. And you know why I bring that up? Because some people get puzzles for Christmas. So Todd wants to try something here. You know what? We're going to go back in time. So hop in that DeLorean and we're going to try to piece together what could have been the Angels starting in 2016 and go to now. You picking me? You're following what I'm saying? Cool.
I'm putting down what you're throwing up. Hey, welcome in, everybody. Don't worry about the show today because we are going back in time. We are going to check out what could have been, what could have fit in the puzzle, like my boy Fernando from the Lone Star is talking about. I'll read off some players that were rumored to come to the Angels. If you guys can think of any in the comments as we go year by year, that would be helpful. But to my right is Lone Star Halo himself. Fernando, how you doing?
I am doing ready to see what the heck comes of this conversation.
There you go. And first time on the podcast as far as a show is my boy Josh. How you doing, my man? Newest addition to Halos in the Infield. How you doing?
It's good to be here. I'm glad I'm here.
All right,
Wish there was more to talk about, this off season.
Don't we all?
Don't sell this show short today.
We're here we go about Meckler.
There you go. Yeah, if only we had that kind of stuff. But for right now, it's monster trucks and motor cars.
that's
wow.
That's all I could think about when I saw. He was described as a poor man's Luis Arias, and I think that was fitting.
That's pretty accurate, actually.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk some Angels baseball, shall we? We're going to move on from 2015 because at that point the Angels barely missed the playoffs. That would have been their last year to make the postseason because it was 2014 in all actuality. But 2015 they made a good run but fell just short. So 2016, it's time to recoup. It's time to regroup. It's time to get back in 2016. Well, let's see how they did.
So Billy Upler was just hired. Don't forget that. That was kind of like the big thing that happened that offseason, right? Billy Upler was brought in after Jerry Dipoto quit, mid-year in 2015?
Yes.
And they brought back, was it Stoneman for a year?
Yeah,
Stoneman for like 3 months.
Yeah, Stoneman finished it out because obviously you had that infighting and Stoneman was relatable to Socia and all that other stuff. So.
Yeah, and he decided to bring Shane Victorino, David DeJesus, and David Murphy, was it?
Yes.
To try to give the Angels just an average left fielder because who's our left fielder to start that year?
You have to look up the rosters because 3 of those guys almost made an outfielder. Almost.
Yeah, almost. All of those guys combined. Because that wasn't the Daniel Nava year, I don't think. But whatever. We're going to do some diving here, so.
Yeah, pull up one of you guys, if you can, pull up the roster right now, and then I'll say yay or nay.
2016.
Okay, yeah, let's go over the 2016 rosters, and let's start with the hitting, the at least the starting 9. Let's read that out and see what could have been.
Okay, so yeah, we'll start off with the normal guys. So Carlos Perez at catcher, CJ Cron at first base, Johnny Giavotella at second, Andrelton Simmons was your shortstop that year. My boy Yunel Escobar was the third baseman. Rafael Ortega was the left fielder that was in question. Mike Trout, of course, was still playing. And, of course, your D8 was Albert Pujols.
There you go. What are you looking up right now, Josh? Are you looking at if you could look at the pitching real quick for us?
Yeah. So we had Jared Weaver, Hector Santiago, Ricky Nolasco, Nick Tropiano, Matt Shoemaker, Chauson, Jose Alvarez, and then the bullpen was Joe Smith, Houston Street, Cam Bedrosian. There wasn't much there.
Honestly, the bullpen for that team wasn't that bad, actually, all things considered.
I agree.
Houston Street was already starting his downward spiral at that point. He was already kind of just a fragment of himself. I think he was dealing with a lot of injuries already at that point. I think this was the year that J.C. Ramirez also had a pretty decent year. You mentioned Hector Santiago. If memory serves correctly, let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. I think Hector Santiago was traded like midway through, and I think he was traded to maybe the Twins, and I think we got Alex Meyer. Anybody remember Alex Meyer? No?
From Tampa? Or San Diego? San Diego.
No, I want to say he was from the Twins. Let me see. While you guys keep talking, I'll look that up.
Okay, so my question to you, Josh, what holes do you see in that rotation so far? I mean, don't see them all at once, but
the whole rotation. Actually, I was surprised. Shoemaker was better than I thought this year. I kind of forgot about Shoemaker after he had that rookie season with the 16-4 and the 3 ERA, but he was pretty solid. Yeah, 2 WAR that year, sub 4 ERA. Other than that, there was nothing. Hector Santiago was pretty average. Ricky Nolasco was okay, but Weaver was past his prime at this point. He was throwing like 81.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
I remember
the original Hendricks.
Yeah, the original Kyle Hendricks for sure. I remember going to some games and seeing like pitches he was throwing like in the 60s, like that curveball. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I had a Little League day at the Angel Stadium that year, and Weaver was pitching, and I remember watching him in the bullpen thinking, like, I was telling all my teammates, I'm hitting that. There's no way he's throwing like 60.
Well, let's talk. Yeah, you probably could have. You probably at least put it in the outfield. But let me tell you this real quick because we got a lot of seasons to cover. But here, I'll name a few names, and let's see if they would have made a difference to you. And we'll check the WAR to see if maybe they would have. Because, again, the Angels just coming off a season where they barely missed the playoffs. I think this season they were about 500 or so. So with that being said, I think we can all agree maybe Santiago and Shoemaker are probably the best out of the rotation.
Yeah, and for the record, I just checked. I was right. He was traded on August 1st. Hector Santiago went to the Twins, and we got Alex Meyer and Ricky Nolasco.
Oh, yeah, another pitcher that did not pitch good for us.
Yeah, Josh just mentioned Ricky Nolasco. So,
yeah.
I think he was an opening day starter one year.
That sounds right.
Yeah, he was.
Was it? It might have been the next year, actually.
So here's who you had the free agent signings that season. Or the players that were on the market for the Angels that they could have added some veteran help because most of these guys are veterans. The top ones right here. You had Mark Burley. Do you think the Angels would have went out and took a shot at him?
That was after he was done with the Blue Jays?
No, he was starting with. Oh, yeah, after the Blue Jays. Yeah, it's 37.
Okay, yeah, way after the White Sox days. I still would have passed.
Okay, what about you, Josh?
37, yeah. I mean, in his prime, he was a great innings eater, but I don't know about I mean, that sounds like another Hendricks deal. I don't know his stats from that year off the top of my head, but
yeah, I don't think any of us will know any of these guys off the top of our head. Like, oh yeah, Mark Burley threw 156 innings.
Yeah, Mark Burley that year. Let's see, at 37. Actually, no, he finished a free agent. But he had a total WAR of 6.5 in his career. So he was
less than I thought.
Yeah. Let's see what else here. What about a Kyle Loesch? That sounds like an Angel signing.
I don't even know who that is, honestly.
Yeah, I've never heard of him.
Never heard of Kyle Loesch? Okay.
I played a lot of baseball video games. I've never heard of Loesch.
AJ Burnett pitched for the Pittsburgh Pirates a lot. He was 39 at the time.
Yeah, I know AJ Burnett. At that point, I would have passed for sure. You're going for the top of the pile here because, man, it seems like you're going to Dollar General looking for DVDs to.
There wasn't that many. Let's see. Hold on. There wasn't that many pictures here. Let me check this other one. These are more of your older guys, but these guys, well, I think they still would have made somewhat of a difference for us. But we
already had an old guy in Jared Weaver. You know what I mean? Because Jared Weaver was a true ace. Maybe at that point, not with his skill, but the guy was still very much a vocal leader.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So we didn't need that at that time. Like, I can make the argument right now that the Angels need a Jared Weaver type guy. Once again, not because Jared Weaver was still dominant in 2016, but because he had the ability to teach some of these young guys.
Okay, let me throw a couple at you real quick. Zach Greinke or Jeremy Guthrie?
Jack Greinke, what was he, maybe like 34, 35 at this point?
He was leaving the Padres at that, or he's no, he was leaving the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers.
Yeah. Okay. I think Zach Greinke at that point, I might have been able to take a flyer on him. I think that might have been a decent enough shot.
I would have taken a shot, but I mean, we should have extended him or re-signed him after 2009.
Absolutely.
Because I think 2010, 2011, 2012, he could have been the difference.
Yeah, so that's when he signed his 6-year, $206 million contract with the Diamondbacks. Now, that deal ended up being a mistake. So, if you're asking me would I have made that contract, no. But, I mean, I don't know what he would have gone for at that point.
Yeah, because at the time, too, we picked up Kyle Kendrick at the time was that Kendrick for the Angels? No, that was later. My bad. I'm looking at something else. It was with Boston. No, but there's pitchers here that just don't blow you away. I mean, you have your David Price. Would you guys taking a shot at David Price?
Was that when he went to the Dodgers?
Yes. That was the end of his career, wasn't it? That was like 2019 maybe, because David Price was involved in the Mookie Betts trade.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I want to say it was the Mookie Betts trade because that was the only reason that they did a salary dump. Now you haven't even looked this up.
I'm trying to find this one right here because I know. Bear with me real quick. Hold on.
As you can tell, folks, we were very prepared for this.
Very, very prepared. I thought I had this on lock. Not so much.
I was right for the record. Yeah, it was 2020 is when they traded him over from the Red Sox, and David Price was involved in that deal.
Okay, that works. Yeah, because you have some guys on here. Like there's not too much. You have a Giovanni Gallardo. You had David Price was signing with the Red Sox, or he wound up signing with the Blue Jays. I'm sorry, he was on the Red Sox. You had Edwin Jackson. He would sign with Atlanta, or the Marlins from Atlanta. You had Ian Kennedy, Jordan Zimmerman to the Tigers from the Nationals. Trevor Cahill was re-signing with the Cubs.
Wow.
Yeah. So Bud Norris to the Braves.
Another guy that came here pretty soon after.
Yeah.
Bud Norris was our closer for a couple of years. For any of you young kids who might be watching who don't know who Bud Norris is.
So I'll just say this real quick. The pitchers that we went over, would this have made a difference to help the Angels go?
No. Honestly, I think, let's just say you could have gotten Zach Greinke on a 2 or 3 year deal, which he wouldn't have gone for back in those days. But, I do think a guy like Greinke, maybe if you would have had a legitimate closer on the back end of that bullpen, and then if the Angels would have had a replacement level catcher or left fielder, I think if they would have had one or the other, I think they might have been a playoff team because they didn't miss by that much, all things considered. Andrelton Simmons and Yanel Escobar really made a big difference for the Angels in 2016.
That is true. And it's funny, Zach Greinke for the Dodgers had a 20.4 WAR that year.
Jeez.
Holy crap. All right, so that'll move us on to the hitting. The hitting was kind of light for us that year. You mentioned Johnny Giavotella. The outfield was pretty bad. You had free agents like Justin Upton, who left the Padres for the Tigers. You had A.J. Brzezinski, everyone's favorite, staying with Atlanta. Marlon Byrd was an interesting player.
He had the comeback.
Yeah, he was pretty good. He went to Cleveland that year.
His comeback. created a lot of the launch angle stuff because he changed his
unfortunately.
launch angle and then everyone copied him. Now you have Kyron Paris.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Kyron launch angleless.
Mike Napoli would leave Texas for Cleveland as well.
That's a guy that, I mean, I understand that there was too much of a damaged relationship there, but Mike Napoli killed us for years.
He sure did. Chris Davis at the time re-signed with Baltimore, terrible contract.
Yeah, thank God we didn't do that.
Yeah.
That had Angels written all over it. Like, oh, but Angels fans, you already have Albert Pujols. So what? What's another aging slugger?
Another one, guys. You guys remember Alex Gordon for the Royals?
Yeah.
I really wanted him, and so did Roger Lodge. I remember.
He re-signed with the Royals that year, and that was a terrible contract for the Royals because he did have a WAR prior to that of 12.7, but then he crapped the bed after that.
Yeah, so I remember this year because this is when I was still very much a Halo honk, and I'm sure most Angels fans were still Halo honks in 2016, right? That was before we stopped listening to the state regime media that is Roger Lodge show. But I remember he used to always be like, guys, we can sign Justin Upton, or we can even sign Alex Gordon. Because that was a year where there was like a ton of available left fielders. And clearly we were having left field issues because I think Hamilton, that was his last year under contract. We'd already gotten rid of him at that time. We got rid of him in 2015. But I'm pretty sure he was still under the payroll. So that's why the Angels didn't get a left fielder legitimately until 2017.
That's true. And that's a year too. And keep in mind, guys, we not only got the Flying Hawaiian, as you guys mentioned, we also got David Murphy. We also picked up Ionetta that year from the Mariners. No, he left us for the Mariners. Sorry. But we did lose. Let's see. We also lost Matt Joyce. We had Matt Joyce the year before. That was a kind of a key player. Kendrick re-signed with the Dodgers. He was available. What do you guys think about this player? Do you think he would have made – because this was always interesting to me. He was a free agent from the Royals. Then that was Ben Zobrist coming off a good season. Zobrist was – I do remember he was rumored to come to the Angels.
And he was a big player for the Cubs that year when they won the World Series.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah,
I don't know what his contract was, though.
Yeah, no, I don't either. But every team, even today, in my opinion, needs a Ben Zobrist because Ben Zobrist was what you consider a replacement level player. And every team needs at least, I would say, two of those guys off the bench. Not going to hurt you, not even necessarily help you, but they just keep the seat warm enough. They do just enough. They come through in those right moments. That's what we really haven't had the last decade, really, in this organization. We haven't had those type of players.
Yeah, that's always been the problem is you have the stars or now you have the young core, but you don't have a bunch of average guys top to bottom. Yeah,
stars and scrubs.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now I want to ask you guys about two guys that their career didn't exactly take off, but would have it been different had they come as outfielders to the Angels? And I'll name two of them. I want your guys' idea on it. At the time, Jason Hayward was 29 years old, leaving St. Louis for Chicago. And then you also had Will Venable leaving Texas for Philly. Would they have fit in Anaheim?
I'm a big Will Venable guy. Growing up in San Diego, I watched him play a lot. I think Will Venable is another one of those guys, very, very good fourth outfielder. I don't even think he's a bad number 8, number 9 hitter who can play a corner outfield because he was speedy, pretty good defensively. Honestly, nowadays, I would kill for a guy like Will Venable. Just because he's a 260, 270 hitter who's going to drive in like 60, 70 RBIs. We don't even have that right now in the outfield, really. So I wouldn't have been super angry if they would have taken a flyer on Will Venable, even though he wasn't that great anymore at that point of his career. That was near the end. And sorry, who was the other guy?
Jason Hayward.
Oh, yeah, Jason Hayward. He hadn't fully regressed yet, right?
No.
I don't think he had started his regression.
Yeah, he stuck around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't he still kicking around like last year? Was it last year or the year before that he was like a Padre?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm surprised that guy's still around. I mean, Jason Hayward, for the name alone, I think we probably all would have said yes to also, especially because we had nobody in left field. We had Rafael Ortega.
That is true. What do you think, Josh?
I mean, those teams weren't far off making the playoffs, you know. So if you have another solid offensive player, good contact bat, I think that could have made some difference. could have given him a chance.
That's true. That's true. So I guess that will move us on to the next season. You guys want to run down the lineup, what we had to spring out there for 2017?
Yeah, I can pull that up. I will say I loved the 2017 Angels roster. In my opinion, that was probably the last legitimate chance the Angels have had of making the World Series, making the playoffs.
Hold on there, buddy.
Yeah. I will retain that I think this was a decent team. Okay, so your starting lineup was Martin Maldonado, CJ Cron. Your opening day second baseman was Danny Espinosa, which, hey, there's a little bit of hint there in the future for Angels fans. Be on the lookout for that. Andrelton Simmons, again, at shortstop. You had Yunel Escobar again at third base. You had Ben Revere, Cameron Maben in left field, Trout in center, Calhoun in right, Pujols at DH.
All right, it's not a bad squad. What was the pitching like, Josh?
Let me check that out. So you had Ricky Nolasco, the opening day starter, J.C. Ramirez, Jesse Chavez, Parker Bridwell, Tyler Skaggs, and then Shoemaker was pretty washed at that point.
Yeah, he had a very bad year. The name that comes to mind immediately as far as pitchers, Parker Bridwell. Any of you young kids out there, what do you know about Parker Bridwell? Because homie had a really good 2017. John, do you remember that?
Yeah, he wasn't bad at all, dude. I know he was one of your favorites right there. He pitched pretty good for us, being a guy that was living out of his camper, you said?
Oh, no. That was Blake Parker. That was Blake Parker.
Okay,
he was living out of his camper.
No,
and he was also another guy who was good.
Well, I remember one thing about Parker Bridwell, if anything, is that dude always found the strike zone. Like he didn't mess around, didn't walk players, which I appreciated. I like pitchers that were aggressive, and he was one of the more aggressive pitchers.
Here's his stats for anyone who doesn't know the lure of this guy, because this guy literally came out of nowhere. So he was, I think, claimed off of waivers, if memory serves. No, I think it was traded, but it was like a cash considerations, player to be named later type of trade. So in 2017, he had a WAR of 1.9, which once again, for a guy you got for nothing, that's great. 10 wins, 3 losses, 3.64 ERA, 21 games total. 20 of those were starts, 121 innings pitched. And he struck out 73. Like I said, for a guy that literally just a flash of a pan, that's a Linsanity year for a pitcher if I've ever seen one. Is this an all-star caliber year? No. But for a guy that came out of nowhere, not bad at all.
Yeah, it's not bad at all, and I would have to agree that you had an opportunity right there to develop players back then. They actually did. They got a guy off the scrap heap and developed him. I thought coaching that year wasn't bad for the Angels.
Yeah, and bullpen wasn't that bad either. We already mentioned Blake Parker, Andrew Bailey, Ken Bedrosian was still around, Houston Street. This was the year that Keenan Middleton made his rookie debut, and he was really good in his first couple of years, for anyone who remembers. David Hernandez, that's another name that is deep in lore, for my opinion. You'd mentioned Mike Morin. Last year, he was still here. Yosmero Petit, another guy that had a really good year. Bud Norris, Jose Alvarez. There was a couple of really good bullpen pitchers for this Angels team, and a couple of really good bench bats. This was Luis Valbuena. This is his first year as an Angel.
Yeah, I like Valbuena.
Yeah, I did too. He was another guy that was all or nothing, very Adam Dunn-like. He was going to strike out, hit a single, or hit a home run, and he was going to bat flip no matter what happened. This was the only guy that I've seen bat flip a strikeout. Did it all the time. I used to love it.
Is this the season before he died?
He had 2 years as an Angel, and I think he passed away, going into 2019, if memory serves correctly. 2018 or 2019. But, I remember that was really sad to hear, because I did like him, even when he was an Astro. Yeah. I know I shouldn't say that, but he was fun to watch, even for them. This is also the year you had Cameron Maben, and I, to this day, think that Cameron Maben was the glue to this team. Because when they got rid of him in August and they got Justin Upton off of the waiver wire trade deadline, which used to be a thing for anyone who doesn't know, and they got Brett Phillips, something changed. because this team was rolling and clicking and all of a sudden just fell apart. Jeffrey Marte was here. Eric Young Jr. had an absolutely incredible season for anyone who doesn't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also had Shane Robinson, Juan Gratterall, and Brandon Phillips. So there you go.
So what do you think we were lacking at this juncture in this season?
Honestly, this team was this is the one and only year that I will agree with Mr. Dodger Lodge. They were missing Mike Trout. Mike Trout was injured for a decent chunk of this year. This was Mike Trout's first major injury. He got hurt in Houston, sliding into second base. That's why he wears that oven mitt now, because he jammed I think it was his wrist or one of his fingers sliding into second base. So he did miss some pretty good amount of time. He had a WAR of 6.9 in the games he did play.
Yep. And this is also the year, guys, Shohei Ohtani signed his first contract with the Angels.
No, that was 2018.
Oh, it's 2018? Oh, my bad. 2018. So, but you have see, I'm jumping ahead. My bad. It's giving me the wrong stuff here. Boy, we're doing this awesome. I'm leading the pack, guys. Let's see. So for pitching, how many starters do you think we would have needed that season to be on par with the rest of the league?
Well, if you look at the pitching WAR for that year, there is almost no pitchers here who had anything.
That's true.
The WAR numbers were terrible. I mean, even the starting lineup, Andrelton Simmons had a WAR of 8. You brought that up, Josh, off air, that he had an incredible year. He just about almost led the league in WAR. We already talked on Trout almost having a 7 WAR. Martin Maldonado, 1.7. CJ Crow, 1.1. Yunel Escobar, 0.4. Literally the only person besides Danny Espinosa who was barely around that didn't have a positive WAR season was Pujols. Even Cameron Maybin, 1.5 WAR. Luis Valbrena, 0.2. Jeffrey Marte was the only guy off the bench, besides Brandon Phillips, who once again was only here for a month, that had a WAR that was negative. So this is a good team in a sense, right? This at least shows you that this was a complete team.
Well, thinking Artie, because we have to put our Artie caps on when we're doing this little show here. I want to ask both of you guys, especially you, Josh, off the top right here. Do you remember Jason Vargas?
No, I remember Jesse Vargas, not Jason Vargas.
Okay, Jason Vargas was a pitcher for the Royals in 17. He was 18-11 and an all-star, 4.16 ERA. The next year, the free agent signing, which I remember he was very close. What they kept saying on ESPN was Jason Vargas is talking with the Angels, and he wound up going 7-9 with the Mets. He signed a contract with the Mets, and he kind of bottomed out, had a bad year. Do you think a pitcher like Vargas switching leagues kind of hurt him a little bit? Do you think he would have pitched good in Anaheim?
Well, that was the last year we really had a good defense. You know, you had prime Trout on defense. You had Maldonado, a defense first catcher. You know, all of his WAR was defensive WAR. And then you had Simba, who had arguably, you know, the best defensive season ever for a shortstop. So I think just that alone could boost. I think you could have had, you know, average pitching talent, and I think we would have made the playoffs.
The Angels' combined WAR for the entire pitching staff in 2017 was approximately 19.3 wins above replacement. And that's not terrible.
Okay, so pitching's not the problem in your eyes then.
Well, I mean, could it have been better? I mean, sure. I mean, the starting pitching WAR looks like it was about 10 because you had Matt Shoemaker 2.3, Parker Bridwell 2.1. So, you know, that's where you are.
Because there's pitchers I'm looking on this list like, damn, we could have used these type of pitchers like a Vargas, or what about like, I know he was getting up in age. He was a 31 at the time, but Jeremy Hellickson was available. You had let's see, Iwakuma from the Mariners was available.
Well, look at this. The Angels were 5 games away from making the playoffs. So, Todd, you just need to find one 5 WAR pitcher, which you could probably do.
Yeah. There's several on here. Even Lance Lynn was a 6.4 WAR that year.
Boom, there you go. That would have made the Angels a playoff team with a little bit of room to spare.
Yeah, that's when he wasn't giving up home runs. But yeah, I mean, these are the kind of where you kick yourself. That's why we're doing the show, because, like, dude, you pick up a guy here or there that could make all the world on the team. So you want to stay away from the hitting. You think the lineup was good enough to win at the time?
Josh, what do you think?
I don't. I mean, it's still one of those things where there's a lot of holes.
Okay, so where were the holes then, in your opinion? Then for
Yeah, well, I'll find a position. What do you think?
Third base, left field,
I will not
and
take
then
any
I mean,
Escobar
Pujols
slander.
had a horrible year, -2 WAR. I didn't know it was that bad.
You had Jay Bruce. I know back end of his career, but he was a guy that came affordable right there. We signed Chris Young that year, remember?
Oh.
Let's see. JD Martinez was available.
That would have been big.
Chris Young was also 2018, I think.
Melky Cabrera was a 4.1.
Yeah,
That's
there
not
you go.
bad. I mean, maybe that could have been the guy, Mike Moustakas, but he was playing first, right?
Yeah, I mean, we already had Crone and Pujols.
For some reason, I was thinking he was an outfielder, but I forgot he was a first baseman.
Yeah, like I said, that year would have been hard because Cameron Maybin was a pretty decent player for us, right? Good defensively, decent enough with the bat. And at the very end of the year, we got Justin Upton. And, I mean, at that time, I remember being ecstatic in 2018 or going into 2018, which I know we're going to talk about right now, where the Angels re-signed Justin Upton. I think we all were because, Justin Upton back then, still a big name.
Oh, yeah. There's a couple guys here that we could have got on the cheap. Yonder Alonso had a 4.1 wins above replacement, and Wellington Castillo from the White Sox.
Those are both names I have not heard in a long time.
I mean, they were not like flashy dudes, but, man, this team could have used them.
Can you guys believe there was a time where the Padres thought that Yonder Alonso was a better player than Anthony Rizzo and traded away Anthony Rizzo for Andrew Cashner? That's crazy.
It's not too
They had
smart.
a lot of guys on those teams. I remember I went to a couple Padres games.
They had
during
Trey Turner
time.
at one point.
Yeah.
Traded him for Will Myers.
They had Kimbrel when he was still good.
Yeah, they got him from the Braves. Yeah, that was 2015 when they went all in that year. They got Matt Kemp, they had Justin Upton, they had Will Myers, they had Craig Kimbrel, they had James Shields. Man, and you thought we had a rough 2015. Imagine spending all the money on those guys and not even coming close to the playoffs.
That's
that
true.
was their first experiment, They refined it and they kind of got it down afterwards.
Yeah, it only took like 6 years after that.
But Perry, Perry another 10 years and maybe he'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
hey, he did say we were improving again. He expects us to improve. So there you go.
Perry's at what, 5 years now?
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
So I think we're going to what, year 6? Because 2020, right? Wasn't that his first year? No, 2021.
I think it was 2021. That's when he did the 20 pitchers.
Yes, correct. Yeah, 2020 was Billy Epler's last year because he signed the amazing contract that was Anthony Rendon.
Still one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. But anyway.
Yeah, hey, I know we can't get Garrett Cole. We're going to get Anthony Rendon, guys.
After the 20 pitchers.
Yeah, none of those guys panned out. How crazy is that?
God dang. All right,
I still believe in Bachman.
Do you actually?
Yeah, I think he can still be a solid reliever or like a swing man.
Yeah,
I mean, other than that, it wasn't much.
Yeah, I remember reading Sam Bachman. Everyone was kind of like, I don't know why you guys drafted this guy, but people were like, well, hey, they could call him up as soon as this year to like pitch out of the bullpen, and that did not happen.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been hurt basically since he got drafted.
So let's talk 2018, shall we? Because I think we're gonna go up to 2020 because that's all we got this one. We'll probably do a part 2 where we get into the 2020s. Sure. And we'll jump into that. But let's get into 2018 here, and I'll throw out a few pitchers that were free agents, and you tell me yay or nay on it. We'll just do that, I believe.
You don't want me to tell you the 2018 pitchers because your boy Heaney was there.
Let's run through it then real quick. Let's see the starting 5.
All right. So Andrew Heaney, Felix Pena, Jaime Barria, who was still decent at that point.
Yeah.
I could never say his first name, but his last name was Despaigne. His first name was Audrey Samir Despaigne, if any of you guys remember him.
That guy didn't make it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Decent as a Padre, but not decent as an Angel. And that was your starting guys.
Okay,
McGuire, I don't remember him. Justin Anderson was a bullpen guy, so I don't know why he was on here. Ken Pedrogian was still here. Ty Buttrey, Taylor Cole. No way Ramirez.
I love Noe Ramirez.
I did too. He was good.
One of my favorite players ever.
Yeah, he was cool as hell, man. He embraced that LA lifestyle. Or
I did not give a shit.
Yeah.
in a good way.
Yeah, a core baseball memory. It was who was the guy that ran over Lucroy? The Astros guy.
Oh,
and he gave him like a
God,
concussion.
Marisnik?
Yeah,
was it Marisnik?
Yeah.
Who was
So
then
I
an
remember
Angel a couple years later.
I was at the game and the crowd was silent, and I yelled, "Hit him, hit him!" And then Noe Ramirez next pitch beamed him in the head and got ejected.
Dope.
That's pretty cool, man. That is a core memory. All right, so I'm gonna throw some yays and nays, or you throw me yays and nays. I'll throw some pitchers at you. Do you guys agree we needed like one good pitcher and two like subpar?
Yeah, that year was terrible for pitching.
Okay, so one good pitcher and two subpar if Artie were to spend money. Do we make a run at, or would Clay Buchholz fit the system? Yay or nay?
Oh, not at that point, right? Wasn't he old?
He was 34 at the time.
Yeah, I mean, if this was Clay Buchholz, then he was like a prospect for the Red Sox. Yay, but I wouldn't have done it this year.
No?
Yeah, 2018 is a little too late.
Okay, remember Cocaine Matt Harvey was on the Angels as well. So
I forgot about him.
Yeah, so then let's go over here to these guys right here.
Forget the Dark Knight. Should have come to Crystal White.
The Crystal Whites.
That wasn't a race thing for anyone who's going to try to cancel me for that. That was a very, very bad joke.
What about Adam Wainwright? He still posted a 3 ERA that year.
Oh yeah, so he was a Cardinal.
He was a Cardinal. He re-signed with the Cardinals at 37, but he still posted a 3 ERA.
Yeah,
he lasted a little while.
Yeah, he was what, as of 2 years ago, still pitching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean I think he would have worked with us that year. What about a Dodger great Hyun-Jin Ryu? He was 32 at the time.
Yeah.
He
Definitely.
was not a bad pitcher. Yeah, I remember being really bummed out when he went to the Blue Jays. I think it was because I did want him in Anaheim.
Yeah, he was
one
good
year.
pitcher.
He almost won the Cy Young. He was up there.
He was good. He was good.
Yeah, he was rumored to be coming here too. Again, another one of those. I think he was a Boris guy. I'm not sure, but I do remember. What about like a Matt Bush?
No. Maybe he had a decent bullpen career, but we needed starting pitching at that point. I think the Angels had a decent bullpen in 2018, if memory serves correctly.
Okay. What about Zach Britton, last reliever?
With the Orioles?
Was that he went to after his prime?
This is Yankee Zach Britton, I believe.
No, because he had those 2 years with the Orioles where he was the guy.
He was decent. He was really good with the Orioles. Yeah. Because I don't even remember who our closer was at this point.
Yeah. Oh, now I see Daniel Descanso. Yeah.
Because we traded for Ty Buttrey this year. This is when we had Ian Kinsler, if anyone remembers that guy.
What about here's a guy who would have came on the cheap to the Giants, Derek Holland.
I think so. I would have taken I like Derek Holland.
That dude was an innings eater that year with a 4 ERA.
Yo, you know what? Who our closer was this year? It was Hansel Robles. Hansel Robles. I liked his entrance.
The white horse, right?
Yeah. Caballo Blanco. One of the most goated closer entrants.
That was pretty cool. I have to admit that was
came
cool.
out with the Undertaker song.
Yep. All right, so let's move over to hitters. So we kind of yayed and nayed a few of those guys right there that could have helped the Angels. Because again, I mean these teams were hovering around 500, right, Fernando?
Yeah, I guess so. And there wasn't too much change to the starting lineup. You guys probably know these guys. The only one that changed was Justin Upton re-signed, so he was your starting left fielder this year. Ian Kinsler was your second baseman. Had a decent year for us that year. He ended up going to the Red Sox. And did they win the World Series in 2018? No, it was 2019 when they won, right? No, it was 18. 19 was the Nationals. And yeah, this was Shohei Ohtani's first year as number 17's first year as an Angel. Yeah.
All right, what about you, Josh? Which positions do you think we're missing on this squad this year?
Third base. I mean, we didn't have any money for first base because we were paying Pujols $1 billion. And then Cole Calhoun had a really rough year. I think that's after he changed his swing. He tried the launch angle.
You put him on the Phantom IL?
Here's a guy that I really wanted for the Angels. Let's see if you guys would yay or nay it. He obviously went to the Twins, but he was coming off a year, even at the age of 38. He wound up hitting over 25 home runs that year. But the year before with the Mariners, Nelson Cruz had hit 37 and 97. Would he have fit for the Angels?
I think so.
Yeah.
The biggest thing,
he was always good.
Yeah, no, he was. The biggest thing that we need to remember about this year, so to keep things realistic, we forgot Zach Cozart. Terrible Angel, but they paid a lot of money to get Zach Cozart, and they paid Justin Upton a lot of money, and they got Ohtani, and I understand he was making league minimum, but they paid a giant posting fee. So we need to remember this offseason, they spent a ton of money.
And who was our third baseman that year?
Valbuena.
Yeah.
And Cozart.
Okay, so Valbuena and Cozart, what if we just ixnayed one of those guys? Josh Donaldson, yay or nay that year? He went to the Braves, actually, that year.
No.
I think he had one good year after the Blue Jays, but, I mean, it was rough for a while.
Yeah, we already got Zach Cozart, who ended up failing. So
that's true. Okay, because then there's Pedro Alvarez on here. What about Neil Walker as a second baseman?
After the Rockies?
Yeah, this is when he went to the Marlins.
No, because we had Ian Kinsler, and I remember being extremely excited about Ian Kinsler because, I mean, he was just coming out of his Rangers tenure, and he was goated over there.
Because Walker was a 260 hitter with 8 homers, 38 RBIs.
Yeah, and I mean, Ian Kinsler batted .239 for us with the WAR of 2.3, which, I mean, isn't terrible.
Yeah, that's not bad.
His average was a little low, but I mean, if you still have a WAR of like 2.5, you're obviously still a productive player. Okay. Luis Valbuena had a terrible year in his final year as an Angel. Had a WAR of minus 1.3, so keep that in mind going forward. And Upton had a WAR of 3.7 that year, so he didn't do terrible at all. Trout, WAR of 9.9.
Here's a guy. Here's another one. I don't know if you guys remember. Now he sucks now. I don't even know if he's still in the league at this point, but I think he is. He's still with the Yankees, but he signed a big deal. But coming off of Colorado, I know he was a guy that, again, MLB Network at the time was really flashing DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah.
This is coming off his Rocky season because with the Yankees, he had an 11.3 WAR his first year.
Yeah, I was a big DJ LeMahieu guy.
Dude, I still believe DJ would have made a huge difference for this team. Man, he would have made a difference for this team. That was one I was bummed out about, to be honest with you. Because there's certain times when you're watching the Angels or at least the MLB Network, and then they're just bringing up all these guys. You're like, oh man, and he just seemed to fit. I think he would have fit with us.
I agree. Was there any catchers they brought up? Because Martin Monado that year had a WAR of 0.2. And, I mean, besides Valbuena, who we really talked about, Cole Calhoun had a WAR of 0.1. So.
Well, you had an older Brian McCann at this point. He still finished with a 2.5 at 35.
I was a big Brian McCann guy when he was with the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, honestly, I don't put as much stock in catcher's age. Because, I mean, you don't bring a catcher on to be Adley Rutschman, right? Who's supposed to be a franchise guy or like Logan O'Hoppe. Mm-hmm. You bring a catcher on with experience for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Would he have made a difference back there as a catcher?
I don't think anybody would have over
so.
0.2. Yeah, Josh, you're younger. Where are you on catchers? Are you kind of on the same boat that I am? Like catchers really don't matter their age as long as they're productive?
Yeah, I think you can get an older defensive catcher and that works. I don't think you need a franchise catcher.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
And what sucks is we're going through these last couple of years, we're going to get into the 2019 season. It just sucks because we're actually just picking a player here, a player there. And the contracts outside of LeMahieu, I think we're not asking for the world. We're not asking for the top free agents. These guys just would have helped had he spent just a little bit more money.
100%. Angels' biggest issue this year was their bench. So the only guy they had off the bench that had a positive WAR was David Fletcher. Had a WAR of 1.9. This was his first year fully. He was 24 years old and got 80 games.
Jeez.
We already talked about Zach Cozart, who technically was a starter, but they have him listed as a bench player here. Jeffrey Marte, Taylor Ward. This was his first big sniff. Chris Young, who you mentioned, this was his first year as an Angel. Jose Briseño was our backup catcher. WAR of 0.4. He was the only other positive WAR guy.
Damn. You know what's crazy about this real quick before we get into the pitchers that could have been? The Twins that year basically put together a free agent rotation. They signed Homer Bailey. They signed Yolis Chacin. They signed Rich Hill and also Jake Odorizzi. And also adding Tyler Clippard in the bullpen and Michael Pineda. So they just said, hey, you know, we have nothing in the system or we have nothing on the roster, and they just redid their entire pitching staff right there. So that's pretty crazy.
I remember falling on my knees, not literally, but figuratively, when I saw that Jake Odorizzi was going to be a Twin. I was like, no, he should have been an Angel. I wanted him so bad back then.
Yes.
Go Diddy.
And here's one that we dodged a bullet, fellas. Do you guys remember when the White Sox signed Dallas Keuchel, another one that was rumored to come to the Angels?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a terrible contract, dude. I remember I was so bent that the Sox got him. I was like, damn it, dude, that's an ace right away.
Yeah, I remember Jhoulys Chacin, you just mentioned him, going to the Twins. And, you know, he was with us not too long ago. You know, like 2 years ago at this point?
Yeah.
And I remember being like, why didn't we just get him back? You know, because he had just an average year. Because that's what the Angels were missing at this stars and scrubs. It's been like this for the last, like, I'd say really 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
But so many times I just find myself saying, bro, why didn't the Angels get him? He was average. Because that's what the Angels just were desperately missing at this point.
Yeah, I mean, at this time, too, you had Kevin Gossman signing with the Giants. Would you guys done that? Because he didn't sign for very much.
Yeah,
this
definitely.
Was after the Orioles?
This was Kevin Gossman after the Giants. Or not after the Reds. I'm sorry, Reds.
He was an Oriole, though, right?
Afterwards, yes.
Okay, yeah. Because I remember him being pretty decent for the Orioles.
Now, this is him back in the day. Now, would we take a guy that we have now back then? Drew Pomeranz leading the
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an all-star in 2016, so we're not too far removed from that.
Okay, so that's two guys that could have helped right there. Here's a guy, too, that I really wanted. He bounced around from team to team, and now I think he's still with Philly, and that's Zach Wheeler. Would you have taken him off the Mets that year?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, because he was a 7.8 wins above replacement right there.
Yeah, would have been a big contract, though.
That would have been a backbreaker, but it might have worked. Would you have taken a 27-year-old Taiwan Walker coming off of Arizona at the time?
I don't know what he got because he was pretty hyped for a little while.
He was.
He's been on like almost every team under the sun, right?
Yes.
Guy hasn't. The only team he hasn't been on at this point is Savannah Bananas.
That's true. but I remember he was well sought after at one point.
Yep.
Let's see. What about a Jordan Lyles? He left Milwaukee too, but he went to Texas.
Yeah, I would have said yes.
Okay, see, these guys aren't like huge players, but I remember them having good seasons.
Well, Todd, to this day, the Angels still haven't signed a pitcher to a big long contract. To this day.
Yeah, but these are like your diamond in the roughs affordable. They should be affordable, and I preface that with should be.
Yeah, I mean, Billy Epler just never really got the green light, I think, to sign pitching because when he went over to the Mets, say what you want about his time over there, but he did sign a ton of pitchers. I mean, he got Max Scherzer, he got Joseph Verlander. He just never really signed pitching when he was an Angels GM. Perry never wanted it. Artie never wanted it, clearly.
See, here's one right here where you have Tanner Roark, right? He signed from Oakland to Toronto, did decent with Toronto. He had a 6.2 WAR, or coming off a 6.2 WAR, finished with a 5 something. Julio Teheran came from Atlanta to the Angels with a 6.8, WAR, and really crapped the bed that year with the Angels. So,
oh God, don't say that name. It's a slur on here. I remember being so excited too when we got him.
What about hitting, fellas? Any what was our roster that year?
We already went through it for 2018.
This is 2019, right?
Okay, yeah, okay, for 2019. All right, so at catcher we had Jonathan Lucroy, who Josh alluded to earlier. Albert Pujols was your opening day first baseman. You had Luis Rengifo. He was involved in the CJ Cron trade, I believe. You had Anderson Simmons still. You had David Fletcher over at third base. I believe this is when he signed that contract. It's like the 4, maybe 5-year deal at that time. You had Brian Goodwin at left field. You could have held a pew-pew to my head, and I wouldn't have been able to make that guess. No, we had Trout in center field, Calhoun in right field, and, of course, number 17 at DH. And off your bench, you also had Tommy LaSella. He was an all-star this year. Until he broke his femur?
Yes.
You also
I was big on the LaStella train.
Yeah, I really liked Tommy LaStella. My friends and I, if you have kids in the car, you might want to fast forward to 30 seconds. Used to call him Tommy the Big Dick Stella, just because I remember him always just being clutch for no reason at all. And if memory serves correctly, I think he might have hit an inside the park home run when I was at the game. I remember the game I was at because I had season tickets from like 2016 to 2019. I remember being at the game where him, Trout, and number 17 went back to back to back.
Yeah,
I don't know if any of you guys remember that.
Not really.
Yeah, dude.
So we had
if Perry was our GM back then, he probably would have.
Yeah, he would have killed it.
Yeah.
All right. So for 2019, Jason Kipnis, what do you think about that second baseman?
Ooh.
He was 17 and 65 for the Cubs.
Oh, that was after the Cubs? He was good on the Indians. Are you allowed to call him that?
The Indians?
Yes, we are. But he was definitely playing really good for the Cubs that season. 17 homers, 65 RBIs, and I think he batted 270.
Yeah, honestly, I think with just looking at the rotation this year, anybody you would say is a yes. You know what I mean? At this point, anybody.
Okay. Let's see who else. I seen Matt Wieters, but at that time he was done.
For catcher?
Yeah, for catcher. He was done.
Jonathan Lucroy had a WAR of, I think, minus 0.06, minus 0.07. So, I mean, what was Wieters' WAR in 2019? Let me see.
It was not good.
Yeah, they were both, I think, washed at that point.
Would you have done or done the contract for Kevin Pillar at that point?
Kevin Pillar. What did he end up getting? Matt Wieters had a WAR of 0.5, so at least it's positive. It's almost one complete WAR win above replacement higher than Jonathan Lucroy. So,
I wouldn't have gotten Pillar. I mean, if you're getting him, it's for his defense, and you have Trout there already.
That's true. He'd have been a fifth outfielder at that point, no?
I don't know how Brian Goodwin was so good. I remember him being a lot worse than this.
Yeah, we traded him. Was it the following year? Or was it that year? We traded him to the Reds.
800 OPS. I mean, that's. I don't
remember him being that good either. I remember not liking the guy.
Yeah, I hated him. I didn't know he had an 800 OPS.
Yeah, maybe we were just not baseball woke at that time. Clearly,
I guess so.
We were just slumping.
They weren't throwing all the WAR at us at that point. I mean, now it's a thing, but back then we were like, not really.
Yeah. I remember him not being a lot of fun to watch. Like I understand that's something you can't really put a value on, but I want to be entertained when I watch someone play. And I remember, Kevin Goodwin always just kind of being like, oh, he's just kind of like slow and clunky, I think.
And who was our first baseman that year?
Pujols was starting first baseman that year.
Okay, but DH was who? Or we didn't really have
number 17.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay, so that takes it because I saw Justin Smoke, but I forgot he only played first, so he wouldn't have fit in.
And that was Otani DH that entire year, right? Because he had Tommy John after 2018. Because remember, he only got to pitch, 12 games or so in 2018?
Yeah, they didn't show off his hitting that much. Another interesting one here. This is a left fielder. He was pretty decent, and he only had a .4, but he had 8 homers, 34 RBIs, and he batted .293, and that's Corey Dickerson. You think Corey Dickerson would have helped out that outfield?
I think the lineup was pretty good.
Do you like it how it is?
I
Yeah.
mean,
I
technically,
think
everybody
we won
was
like
a
80
positive
games.
WAR. They won
pitching was
72
awful.
games, Josh.
Oh, the pitching was awful.
2019?
Yeah, they were 72 and 90. That was Brad Ausmus's only year.
Oh, yeah, and they had to deal with the Skag stuff, too.
Yeah. Oh, God, this was also the year that we had Justin Bohr. I forgot about that guy. I remember being at a game where Justin Bohr popped out to the infield, and he didn't even walk to first base. He just walked straight to the dugout, dude. I remember mercilessly booing him. And that was probably one of the only times I've ever been in Angels Stadium where Angels fans were booing their own player. It doesn't happen often here.
No, it doesn't.
Not as often as it should. Instead, you have people like, oh, let's give Rendon a standing ovation to motivate him. Yeah, that worked.
Same with Otani. You see Otani come on there, and half the fans will.
Yeah, I can't stand that. Can't stand it.
I'd be
They
booing
start
it.
waving their bobblehead.
I want to make a sign that says Benedict Otani. A deep lore instead of Benedict Arnold. For any of you young kids, look up who Benedict Arnold is.
So as we wrap it up here, we're going to get into the 2020 season. The COVID season that should have been cut. That this season didn't make any sense, but
Honestly, we should skip it.
well, just because what could have been as well. Let me instead of just going over the roster real quick because I think we remember that team pretty good. I'll just say this: I was so in and wanting, and the guy teased the hell out of us to this day. Trevor Bauer. People still talk about him, but could he have saved his career coming to Anaheim, or would he have been a bigger train wreck?
Wasn't that 2021?
No, it's 2020, right?
That's before he won the Cy Young.
Yeah. No, because he. This was the year he won his Mickey Mouse Cy Young with the Reds.
Oh, so he was on the
would've
Reds.
taken him.
Yeah, because he
It was
signed,
a
but he
short deal,
signed the one.
too.
He signed the 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. No, he got traded. I think for 1 year. Right, because he was an Indian.
Yeah, that's right.
A Cleveland Indian, people. Don't freak out at me. And he got traded. I'm really on one today. I'm sorry, guys. He got traded. I'm pretty sure. But you know what? It's tough to say because I will say I did want the guy. Now I'm happy we didn't get him just because of what ended up happening. You know what I mean? Because he wouldn't have really helped us. It would have been a lot of dead cap. But I will admit that 2021 Fernando really wanted him.
Yeah, it was 2020 with the Reds, and then he would have been. You're right, but still, I think wasn't he a free agent or he came over on a trade from Cincinnati or Cleveland because of that incident in Kansas City, right?
Yeah, it was something like that. See, this entire show, Todd, you've been 1 year off.
I know. I've been. Oh my God.
You just need to add one.
I'm gonna get killed in the comments.
Please do. That's engagement, guys.
All right. So then, as far as pitchers that year as well, that could have came up and did some stuff for the Angels. Let's look at it real quick. Would have Jake Arrieta worked for us?
No, he was pretty long in the tooth already, right?
Yeah, he was about 30, 35. Charlie Morton. He's still pitching to this day. But Charlie Morton. Okay, yeah. Charlie Morton.
For the record, our opening day start, if anyone doesn't remember, was Andrew Heaney. We had Andrew Heaney, Dylan Bundy, or as Courtney to say, Lord Bundy. We had Griffin Canning, Patrick Sandoval, Jaime Barria, and Julio Teheran. And Dylan Bundy had a pretty good year that year.
So basically, any of those pitchers would have helped.
Yeah, but literally almost anyone you could name would have been an improvement.
Okay, yay or nay, rapid fire. Wade Davis?
I think he had a decent year.
Yeah, he did.
We were 26 and 34 that year. Yikes.
Jake Odorizzi again.
Jake Odorizzi, I don't think he had that good of a year after we missed out on him, if memory serves correctly. So no.
Chris Archer.
No.
Also had a bad year.
Okay.
We could have traded him. You could have gotten a lot from trading him.
True.
Yeah. That's what the Angels don't do. And I know it's a topic for another day, but like there's so many reclamation projects that the Angels should be signing on one-year deals and trading. I'm hoping that happens this year if guys like Drew Pomeranz ends up having a good year.
You would have had another shot at Kevin Gossman, Marcus Stroman, Tyler Chatwood, former Angel.
Marcus Stroman was still good at that point, right?
Yeah, he was still good.
I think Gosman contended for a Cy Young a couple years after that, so I would have gotten him.
I would have gotten him, and I probably would have tried to get Marcus Stroman in a short deal too. Nowadays, no. Unless the Yankees are paying almost his entire contract. But
yeah. Man, oh, man. I think they missed out on a lot of these guys, dude. I mean, it does, like basically the point of this show is to show everybody out there that a move here, a move there, a little bit more aggression, a little bit more money from Artie could have made him a lot more money and made us a lot more happier in those seasons instead of being just 500. You know, it could have been the difference in making the postseason or at least giving the fans something to root for in September, right, guys?
Yeah.
I think the same thing is happening this year. You know, I think if Artie used that extra $40 million, he added it to the current roster, I think we'd have a good shot at competing for a wild card, maybe even getting the wild card. But it looks like he's just going to pocket the money.
Yeah, the problem with the Angels has always been, you know, they take flyers on guys, you know, to try to get a lottery ticket. And even when that lottery ticket kind of hits, like, gosh, who was the guy? We talk about him all the time, Todd. He went to the Rangers last year, was talking trash about them and how bad they were and how they weren't going to win anything. He was an outfielder. He just retired. Yes, Kevin Pillar.
Yeah.
He was with us, and the Angels admitted, yeah, we had a chance to trade him. And we could have gotten somebody for him because he was decent for the Angels.
Yeah, he was.
That's what I'm saying. When you get guys like that and they're hitting, trade them for something, right? You know, I always talk about like Kenley. I always talk about being an Arizona Coyotes fan. The Arizona Coyotes were a bottom feeder team, right? So what they would do is they'd get these aging veterans, sign them one-year deals, and then they would trade them for draft picks, which I know you can't do in baseball, or prospects. The Angels should be doing that. Right now, if you're a rebuilding team, that's fine. Be honest of who you are. There's no problem with admitting, hey, we're rebuilding right now. We think we got one more year. We think maybe next year we can compete. So we're not going to sign any free agents. Great. Tell us that so we know what the expectation is ahead of time, because then I would be excited about Drew Pomeranz.
Yeah. Now Perry is speaking in code.
Yeah. Yeah. Perry's like that in the Christmas Story when the guy was like doing the decoding when he was in the bathroom. Make sure to drink your Ovaltine. Instead, Perry saying, make sure to enjoy your knuckle sandwich, Angels fans. Yeah,
and enjoy the Kathy's cookies. What's frustrating, guys, and you brought it up, Josh, Kenley Jansen, you know, and like it's so crazy that last year on this show, we were like, you know what, we love the guy. He's a good clubhouse guy. He's treating the players and the young guys good. He's helping them out wherever he can. True professional. Had some real shining moments for us, but I think we all knew the best thing to do was to flip it, like you guys were talking about, trade him. And once they didn't trade him, we were upset. We were like, damn it, we don't get what we want. We didn't get anything for him. He's going to walk. And then the offseason was like, hey, let's sign him back. You know, what do we have to lose? You know, he's not going to come very expensive. You know, just give him a 1 year and a player option and, you know, let it be set, and he'll do his thing with us again. And it just feels like no matter what angle we take on a player, Artie's like, oh, they want to do this? Nah. They want to do that? Nah. It's like, oh, come on, you know?
Yeah, so maybe next year we just need to say things that we don't want to happen. Like, hey, let's convince Jonathan Lucroy to come out of retirement.
Yeah.
So then maybe, you know, then we will get a franchise catcher.
Yeah, I don't know, guys, because I mean, I'm kind of there with both of you. You know, like Josh says, you know, like there are a few players away. Yes, some may agree or disagree, because you have Angel fans that we're so conditioned to lose. Like even when like Fernando brought it up last year, even when we make a move, fans are already just all over it. Like, this guy sucks. It's like, man, give it a chance. I mean,
but it's because the organization hasn't given us something to believe in lately. You know what I mean? Like, But I don't know. I think right now the roster is a little worse than we were last year.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest, just because I said in the group chat, I said it last episode, there's no depth right now. You know, right now, if Zach Neto gets hurt, God forbid, knock on wood, who's your backup?
Grill or whoever the hell that was who signed.
Madrigal?
Guzman and Paris? I don't know.
Yeah, Peraza?
There you go.
Oswaldo, yeah.
Oswaldo.
Grissom?
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, what's the difference between those guys and Squid right now? You know what I mean? There isn't one. I
feel like Perry should make a commercial that says, if you have a number 1 draft pick that hasn't worked out, trade him to the Angels.
Yeah, for players.
And I don't mind that. I actually think that's not the worst move if you're getting real big leaguers to come with them. That can't be the only move. Hey, this guy 15 years ago, he was the number 1 11-year-old. You know, that doesn't really help.
Yeah, you can go up and down the list. And all these guys were probably their top player on their little league team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what? There's nothing wrong when those guys are depth pieces, right? You're like, I don't mind Peraza being a depth piece, but like eventually, like you need to get somebody who's capable of playing third base. Like really, if it really comes down to it, guys, just re-sign Yohan Moncada again. You know what I mean? Like he was fine for $5 million.
I believe in that. I thought he was good. I liked his at-bats.
Yeah, I mean, for $5 million, why not?
Yeah, he was probably their second best hitter that saw the most pitches. You know, outside of Shonawell, he saw the most pitches. And, when he was healthy, he was a terror in the box. So,
where are you on bringing Rengifo back? I never liked Rengifo. We've been on this number for.
Yeah, I just hate to watch him. I'll rather give a chance to one of these like lottery ticket guys than Rengifo, because I think it's the same production. But at least, hey, maybe Paris can do it again, or maybe Guzman does something,
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, because I think the prediction's always there. If you want to say, hey, Rengifo will have a hot streak at one point, and then he'll be ice cold at another, and that's in between his 4 to 5 injuries per year that he's on the IL or close to being on the IL. And then he's also going to cost you a couple games due to hustle or just brain farts.
Yeah.
I'd rather get Arias. I don't think Arias will be that much more expensive.
That's another guy, yeah. I don't think he would be right now because he's fallen off a little bit from the San Diego days, but still, you're talking about a guy who will be another contact hitter in that lineup that'll be spraying the ball all over the field. And if you do get guys on via walk or single or double, definitely is going to drive them in. So, I mean, one can only wish, man. I think that's what this is. It's like, what if? And then also, we're just hankering for some good baseball, man. I just can't believe I said hankering.
Yeah, that might come one day, but it probably won't be anytime soon.
I'll say this, though. I think this year's team has a better chance than last year's team at pulling off a miracle.
Oh, okay. At pulling off a miracle.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's really going to depend on if the young guys want to continue to take a step forward. I mean, Shanuel, I'm starting to feel a lot better about, because going into last year, Todd and I have talked off air, and I was like, I don't know, man. It might be time to trade Shanuel. I don't think Shanuel has what it takes to be a major leaguer. And he proved me wrong, because he's always had the ability to get on base. I've always liked his ability to hit, but his defense was just always 3 steps behind for me. But he got better defensively, and I think his game is starting to get a little bit more power. And I don't mean over-the-fence power. I don't want him to be that guy. But he's starting to show me that he's got gap-to-gap power, because that's just as important. You know what I mean? You need to be able to drive the ball the other way and at least be able to make it to the fence. You know what I mean? Get some doubles there. So I'm happy to see that his game is getting to be a little bit more two-dimensional instead of just one-dimensional when it was just get on base like Luis Arias.
True. I just don't know how much this organization values that. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, I think there's a time and a place for it for sure. They need to make some other moves for sure. I think they need to bring a second baseman in. I don't think Christian Moore is that guy just yet. I think he can be. I know we have some guys on this network that do not like Christian Moore.
Yeah.
But I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to give up on him. But I definitely think you need to give someone a 1, maybe a 2-year contract to give Christian Moore just a little bit of time to cook.
I'll tell you what, guys, if pitchers and catchers report and we haven't made any other signings, it's not going to happen. We're not the type of team that traditionally makes moves. I mean, they could surprise us, but I doubt they're going to do it once they start camp. And that's the bad thing because we're running out of time.
I think the 5 starter is going to be?
Who's that?
Don't say Alec
Tyler Bremner. I think Bremner's going to start this year.
I'm not ready for that. He just got drafted.
Well, he might. I mean, with this organization, I mean, Josh might be on something because if we see him pitching in spring, I definitely think there's a chance.
Yeah,
I just have a feeling.
Dana.
Because I know
Dana sucks.
I know at one point we're going to see Johnson up here again. That dude's probably going to be ready to roll.
I like him.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, he did really good in the minors.
I want to see Clausen, though.
Yeah, Clausen. I haven't hated Sam Alderghetti when he's gotten shots. I know he's been a little bit more iffy.
Like him. I'd rather see Clausen or Cortez, a guy with upside, versus Alderghetti. I mean, what's Alderghetti's ceiling? I feel like he's another Mitch Ferris.
Yeah, I think his ceiling's probably a Tyler Skaggs type pitcher. He's going to give you 8 wins. You know what I mean? He's going to have an ERA probably in the low 4s. But, what's Alek Manoah going to give you this year?
We have a couple guys that, like those young guys that could be potential 2s and 3s. I do think an Alderghetti could be a 4 or 5. He could be a legit pitcher like that. So we'll see. But we have a lot of 4s and 5s.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see what happens this offseason as we're still plugging away right now. But, don't hold your breath. But still, it's good to dream. And I think my final thoughts is I think it's to go to Josh's point, a miracle season. We're going to need somewhere an orphan in an orphanage that wants to get back with his father, make a prayer that the Angels make the postseason so he can reunite with his dad. Disney movie, yes, right there. Angels in the outfield. To make the postseason because, dude, I mean, I don't know, man. American League's not going to be a pushover again. I mean, there's got a lot of good teams in the American League. And I don't think on paper we're one of them, right, guys?
Not right now, in my opinion.
Because, I mean, we still got a lot of holes, and it doesn't seem – I think Artie's more interested in what kind of food is going to be showcased at Anaheim Stadium. And I think he got away with I haven't heard not one thing in the goddamn audit, dude. Nothing. So that's discouraging as well.
Has it happened already?
No.
Okay. Well, there you go.
It has not.
I think it's better than them going to Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee's going to want a new franchise. They don't want to take a franchise.
Orlando. The speculation is that we're going to Tennessee.
Nah, they're stuck. They're stuck in this. I mean, Artie can't afford a new contract with a new city. He can't because you had to pay to get out here too. The franchise moving fee, and he don't have that kind of money, dude. He'd have to sell the team.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we'll pick up the second half, and I promise not to be a year behind on some of these free agents and what the players that could have helped the Angels in these years. Appreciate your time, Josh, and on the Lone Star Show. Why don't you take it away for us, sir?
Thank you guys, everyone, for joining in. Make sure to tell your friends what we got going on over here. Give us a 5-star review or just let us know how we're doing in general. Follow us on all the social medias at Halos and Infield. Make sure you subscribe to the Substack. Make sure you check out our sponsor, 714 Tickets. Use code HITI, H-I-T-I, at checkout for 10% off all purchases, no matter what you are looking for. Make sure you check out 714 Tickets first. Use that code again and again. I won't say anything about a beer sponsor because I think that's kind of up in the air now.
Yeah, we'll announce that soon.
OC Dugout, all your memorability needs, and of course, Max Market Pros. They are Google certified. They can get you to the top of Google. No matter how small your business is, make sure they are your first stop. On behalf of all of us here at Halos in the Infield, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, everybody.
See you.